Hey everyone, it's Jamie with ForkMountainBees.com. We're going to do a real quick video. I heard a gentleman today on Facebook had a question about making nice joints without having a table saw or router. All he has, to my understanding, is a circular saw and a miter saw, 10-inch miter saw. You can do a lot with a 10-inch miter saw and a circular saw. Somebody has suggested that he do a butt joint, and real quick, what a butt joint is, real basic here, is going to be two square edges that run together, and they're going to butt into one another, and they're going to be squared up. You cut that, you glue that, and screw that together. That's going to hold for a pretty good while. Is it an ideal joint? No, but it will work. It will do what you need to do. If you're only doing about 10 boxes a year, something like that, it'll work. It'll do what you need to do. Now, said he didn't have a table saw and was really concerned about that, it seemed like. So, but there are things that you can do without a table saw that are similar to having a table saw. And really what that would be is, if you have any straight edge in a circular saw, you can clamp those pieces down, you can clamp that straight edge onto that board and cut you a straight line. Now, the problem with doing a butt joint for a hive body is going to be you're going to have somewhere for that frame to rest on. So what you can actually do is you could cut your pieces out for your box, and on your butt pack, on your butt joint, what you would really need to do is your front piece. Like, let's say this was your front board, this is your side board. Your front board would have to sit inside of the side board if you do a butt joint. And the reason being is you're going to have a rabbet on that edge. You're going to have that dadoed out. One way that you can dado something out without having a table saw is you can take a straight edge and lay on, and you see how I've got this clamp with that straight edge. Now, I've already taken and actually cut out some of that wood there. But what I did to begin with was I measured down and I figured out how far I would have to have from that edge to where my rabbet would need to stop, and I got that. And then I figured out, and I measured over from the side of my circular saw to where the blade is at on that edge. So whenever I go down that board along this flat edge, I measured over that distance from here to my straight edge, and then I clamped everything down. I set my depth on my circular saw to the depth that I would need it to stop to give me my rabbet. Then I fired it up and I ran it down the edge, down that straight edge. And then, as you can see here on the video, what I did was I kerfed that out. You know, I made several different cuts down through there, and I just basically stepped off of that edge and went a little bit further over every time I cut. And so doing that allowed me to knock out that wood. And so I was able to take a regular hammer and a chisel, and I was able to knock the where I had cut that, I was able to knock that out, take my chisel and clean that up and clean that out. And you can do that literally all the way down that. Now, what you have to remember is you can use this right here. You can use this principle with any length of board. You don't have to have a table saw. If you need a good straight edge on a board, I've seen people take 6-foot levels and clamp them down to a piece of plywood. I've seen people take old bed rails, the angle iron, clamp them down or even screw them down into pieces and run that saw down that to get them a straight edge. You can do the same thing with that. So you just got to think outside the box a little bit. But whenever you do this, I mean, if you're only doing 5 or 6 boxes a year, 10 boxes, something like that, it really doesn't take that long to do that. If that's, I mean, because you're tinkering with that, now's the time to be doing that. You can do that, and it's not going to really set you back that much. Now, if you're going to do more than that, and you're going to be building a lot, you probably really do want to try to find you a table saw. Now, I've got a Craftsman 10-inch table saw that I bought off Craigslist. paid $100 for it, and it's been worth every dime. Now, I did have to replace the bearings in the arbor. I had to do a little bit of tinkering with it, but it works great. It's a great running saw. And, you know, for $100, you can't beat it. So now's the time to be looking for saws on Craigslist and pawn shops and things like that. And especially after the first year, you'll start seeing a lot more getting ready. As you get closer to spring, those people that, you know, I hate it, you know, the ones that pawn stuff and are not able to pick it up, I mean, they lose that stuff. Well, after the certain amount of time, I mean, it's free game. So check the pawn shops, look on Craigslist, you know, whatever. But, you know, that's one way that you can do that and be able to make those cuts and not have to have a table saw or a router. Now, like with what I'm doing, I mean, I've got a table saw and a router. I've got actually 2 table saws. I've got one set up to where I can just do all my rips on it, and the other one I've got set up with the dado blade. If you're doing a lot of stuff, that's great. But if not, I mean, if you're limited, you know, do what you can do with what you got. You don't have to spend a ton in beekeeping. You know, if you're just getting started and getting going, you know, and money's tight, hey, do what you can with what you got. Use what you can, you know, with what's in your hand. And that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know if I can answer something else on a video. Sometimes it's better to do a video than it is to try to type stuff out. So that's the reason I went this route. But hopefully all that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll be glad to get back with you. Again, this is Jamie Kelsey with ForkMountainBees.com. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.